Welcome to the Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 Finance Committee meeting. This is our first meeting of the year. I'm past Finance Committee Chair Mark Trenary, Councilmember Trenary. With us, we have Councilmember Morrissey, Councilmember Warden, and several staff members. Our first order of business to this meeting would be to elect a new Finance Committee Chair.
I nominate. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
You go. I'll second it. Go for it.
I nominate Mark Chineri to run it back. Do it again.
I second that. He did such a good job the first time. He can do it again.
All right, I guess if no one else is willing, I guess I will continue along as the finance chair here. So thanks for that vote of confidence, you guys. Moving forward, our first order of business here is our finance department uh, sales tax and REIT revenue reports. Mr. Crocker, this is you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So first, it's been a while since we've met. I wanted to cover December sales tax revenue real quick, and then we'll cover January's. So we've closed 2025 now from a revenue standpoint. We've now also closed it from an accounts payable standpoint. We are currently going through the process of reconciling 2025 financials. So hopefully we'll have 2025 December completed soon, and then we'll be able to move on to January and February. But having said that, looking at December sales tax revenue, we were roughly 10% below December of 2024. For the year, our actual sales tax collections were 2.8% less than in 2024. So we did actually see a decline in sales tax revenue, although we did come in slightly above our budget at 2.6% above our budget. So again, that's good from a budgeting standpoint, and we're just kind of have to watch in sales tax revenues in 2026. Additionally, we had REIT revenue coming in December. Again, REIT is a variable revenue source, so you can see that came in a lot less than in December of 2024, but REIT is not as predictable as sales tax revenue. So it was roughly 83% less than in 2024 for December. However, for the year, we were right about 16% less than 2024. So restate to sales tax revenue was down compared to 24. But again, against the budget, we're 23% higher than budgeted. So from budgeting perspective, for the biennium, we're doing just fine. We will observe that both actual revenue is down from 2024. So that is December of 2025. Now, I included in the packet revenues for 2026. So we start off 26 in January, $580,000 in sales tax revenue, which is roughly $35,000 less than in 2025. So we're down almost 5.5% to start the year. And we're just slightly below budget now. So this is the only thing that, you can watch how we trend against budget, because the budget is what we rely on as we develop our plans. So not a great start to the year for sales tax.
And Noah, to remind us, Director Crocker, sorry, that's November's receipts, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So this could be taking into consideration some of the federal shutdowns and lost and stopped spending. So we'll just kind of monitor that next month, February, to see how that trickle effect.
And have you heard, is this basically par for the course in most jurisdictions, or are we an outlier? Where's everybody else sitting, or is it too new data?
I think too early to tell. I would guess others are going to have a similar results though.
Well, we wouldn't have had our numbers yet. On our other boards, I said on Kitsap 911 has been trending down and flat, which has been our trend. We hadn't seen January's number yet, and we didn't have any sales tax. Didn't have a sales tax report at Transit this morning, but it was our work study, not our business meeting. So I can't speak to what that trend looks like. But both of those agencies are county-wide, not Port Orchard specific too. So it tends to be close, but not always exact.
Yep. Again, re revenue, 48,000 was collected in January when compared to 213 in 2025. So down 77%. Again, that's not the earmark for me. It's really the budget compared to budget. So we're down 29% when we compare to budget. So again, these are the kind of things we're going to be monitoring throughout the year, both down so far, just in January, in sales tax and REIT, but a lot of time left. Overall, when we look at our biennial budget percentage, though, we're 63% of the biennial budget. So that's some positive that the gains we had in 2025 helped to carry us forward in 2026 when we look at the biennial budget perspective. Again, that's an advantage of having a biennial budget. Those kind of over revenues can help pad against a down year in the following year and vice versa. So nothing too concerning yet, but we're just going to observe it and monitor it.
Okay, any further discussion on sales tax and REIT revenue reports?
Not for me. No, thank you.
I might just say, Director Crocker, just keep us apprised on what you're hearing out there. I think last year was well, in the first 2 years, I think I only saw us in the red compared to budget 4 total times, and we're already starting off this year 1. So just keep us informed of what you're seeing.
Will do.
Yeah,
Nick, do you want to? Oh, go ahead, Chair.
Just as a final thought on that, I talked with a couple of real estate agents today, and they did say, sales are still good, but they're a much slower process now than they were in the middle of last year. So they're forecasting it to pick back up a little bit. Let's hope they're correct with that.
Are they good in the city or good in the county?
Yes.
Yeah. I just checked the inventory recently. It was pretty low. That's what I was kind of wondering
Yeah.
for the city.
And unfortunately, they mentioned that they didn't expect interest rates to drop too much lower than they are now. So, yeah, please keep us apprised of what's going on, though. I appreciate that.
The last few years too, we've performed better than the rest of the county because of our construction and the sales tax on the construction. So, Nick, what are you seeing in your department? I mean, McCormick is the biggest driver of that. Are those new permits staying consistent, or are we seeing a lull?
We're seeing a slight lull, but we keep having multifamily projects, and if the county courthouse and some other things come in, those are going to be pretty big impact projects. So I'm not seeing a significant slowdown right now, but what I'm really wondering about is actual sales of new houses. And so while builders are building the houses, are they going to continue selling at the same rate? I think that's going to be more telling than anything. Is if sales slow down significantly, then I think building permits will follow.
Okay. I'll ask again, any further conversation on sales tax and REIT? If not, let's move on forward with our second discussion item. That's the Downtown Revitalization Grant Program. And I do also believe this is you, Noah.
Actually, this is Director Brand.
It is. My apologies. Nick, go ahead.
All right. So we have been doing outreach to our downtown business owners between Harrison and Frederick on Bay Street, and we are looking for input from business owners as well as property owners about how they might utilize a downtown grant program. If you'll recall from our 2026 budget, the city council included $100,000 for sort of exterior beautification projects in our downtown. And so we're looking to create a grant program, but we didn't want to just blindly create the program. We're trying to get input from the people who would be applying to see how they might use it. And as of now, we've directly we sent mailers to everyone, had pretty low response rates, and so we've actually been calling directly business owners and property owners trying to get input, and we're up to about 66% of those property owners and business owners downtown that have been contacted. The feedback that we are receiving, there's at least one project that would potentially apply for funds. Um, a lot of property owners are hesitant to participate because they have leases that are not long term, and so they don't want to apply for something as a business owner without the guarantees on their lease for a longer period of time. And so that's a consideration I think for our program is it would be, do we offer grants to business owners unless they have options for a lease that give them a significant amount of time in that space. The last thing we would want to see is somebody apply for a grant that has a match, put money into the building and do a project, and then have the landlord raise the rent on them and evict them. And so that's one of the clear takeaways that we have so far. Um, the it varies with businesses who have leases in terms of whether the building owner is fully responsible for improvements or whether the business owner would be responsible for these improvements. That varies from building to building. Um, Business owners are generally supportive of the program, but their main concern is about the longevity of their leases if they're a tenant. Um, the general suggestions that we've had include removing portions of the marquee, updating signage, repairing broken windows, and there was a lot of interest in just seeing something happen at the Myries building. And I think the elephant in the room is our largest property owner downtown, who we have not had contact with. And so, Mayor, I don't know if you've reached out to Mansour recently or not, but
Not recently, but yeah.
I don't know if we want to, if you want to make a call there and find out if he has any interest in this for any of his buildings. It sounds like most of his tenants are probably not likely candidates for a program without different lease terms.
Well, I've had conversation with Sam here recently, who talked to Matt Berg uh, about this and about the Myrie, the things, the pictures we want to do in the Myries building. And the response we got that she received is that um, he doesn't have a problem with it as long as he doesn't have to spend any money himself. So,
I see Eric's
Eric?
hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be I wouldn't imagine the tenants investing money into the the face of the building. I would think it'd be the property owner that would be the one that we'd be contacting, the one that would be. I mean, a tenant can't reface someone's building. It'd have to be the property owner, right? So I mean, we'd have to
well,
get the
they,
buy.
they could, but they'd have to have the property owner's permission.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like Nick's pointing out, why would they do that? If they've got
Correct.
a 1 year lease,
I agree.
why would they put their time and effort into something unless they're going to get a longer term lease and be able to recover that, additional sales potentially, you know.
Hmm. No,
So
I wouldn't think they would. I would think it would have to be a property owner. Um, does he live local? Like, I mean, even on this side
on
of
Lake Washington, I've been up to his place.
okay, okay. I wonder if he'd come down for a walk around conversation
He didn't
instead
last time.
instead of Matt. No?
So I went to him. So,
Okay.
So Nick,
but
how many
we can ask.
how many property owners did we get replies from?
Well,
Okay.
initially for the mailing notice, it was two or three. Um, and I think one of those, I'm not sure that they actually wanted to do anything. They also were technologically not savvy and just called us to give us their response because they didn't want to go fill out our questionnaire form online. So that individual, I don't think would probably apply for anything, and even though they own more than one building, I really only see one project down there that's for sure they would apply for a grant. And so that begs the question, do we want to put limits on the size of the application if we end up only getting one or two applications? Um, do we want it to just be, do we want to just have some basic criteria such as that if you have tenants, that these improvements are not going to lead to an eviction so that you have to document that you've extended their lease or add some criteria where tenants are involved. That's really the only criteria that I see right now as being something that we would want to propose, other than that it has to be an exterior improvement that revitalizes our downtown and meets the criteria that were in the analysis provided by the city attorney.
I think if we get one person started, maybe they would follow.
And so then the question is there a match? And if so, what percentage? Would we want to do a 50% match or um, more or less? And
That
I
seems
think
high for me if we're going to do a grant. Well, I mean, when we get grants at the city, it's what is it, Noah? 15-20% is typical when we get awards out there in the world.
15% at least.
I mean, RCO, our parks grants are 50%. So I think the range
Okay.
is from the low tens of percent up to 50%.
So, am I hearing this maybe right, Mr. Bond, that maybe people are needing some time to work through a lease renegotiation to make the determination on if they would participate? Like it's too new, too quick for them to act that quick, or they're just unsure on what this will look like and whether or not they can make it work?
I don't get the sense that the building tenants are really interested in taking these things on. We didn't hear anything specific from a business owner saying, I'm going to put money into my landlord's building and this is what I'd like to do.
yeah, it'd be tough.
I mean,
I would think that they'd be concerned with, as we mentioned previously, your lease is up in a year and now it just went up an extra 10% because of the sweat equity you put in and this grant money that you put into their building. Now you're going to look at an increase in your lease costs. I would be concerned with that as a business owner myself.
It'd be nice to know what, and each property is a different size. That's pretty obvious. But it'd be nice to know what it would cost for one property, so we know if it's going to be 15 or 50% in that range based off of the dollar figure.
Mm-hmm.
what if we just solicited proposals and just said we're accepting proposals and we see what we get for proposals. And maybe we only get one project this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But then hopefully next year's budget we can afford to put some more money in and we solicit for projects and maybe we don't have criteria and it's subjective based on the number of applicants we get and what we can afford to dough out. And I think they should have some skin in the game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely some, but
Well, I think they're required to. So I just want to pause everybody here and say that we really should be engaging this program with Charlie, our city attorney, to ensure
Yeah,
that these aren't a
okay.
gift of public funds. Because if you read over her analysis, we're getting into some gray area as far as gifting of public funds. So again, I'd invite her to come back with Nick when she gets back from vacation. And I think Nick was just doing a brief report out, kind of some information gathering.
That's right.
But I'd rather run
Okay.
it through the attorney, make sure that we're on the right
Okay.
track.
And I'd just like to add that even if we don't use it, maybe we can set those funds aside. Maybe over time they can collect and we can use them for something, maybe that's, if they don't ever get used over time, they can grow into something to help replace the marquee over time. I don't know, but it's still the same basic outcome of downtown beautification.
So it's based on, that's good advice from Noah. How about staff and I talk to the city attorney versus waiting until next month's finance committee. Then we'll report out maybe next week, or something in a staff report to you guys or an email to this, maybe an email to this committee, what Charlie's feedback is, whether she's comfortable with us having something nebulous or before we put it on the streets, we really need to have firm and fast rules and criteria. Those are good questions to ask before we start soliciting applications.
It'd
Yeah,
be nice to at least do one building.
I
And
agree. I agree with Eric. I'd like to see at least get this thing started off the
yeah,
ground.
it could be contagious, right? I mean, it could be,
I
you
hope so. Yeah.
yeah, leash effect. And so hopefully, um, I mean, you do one. I mean, look at those lights that you put downtown. I mean, just those lights was the talk of the town. Imagine just doing refacing one building. That'd be a huge, a big improvement. So
Yeah, that was a question I had too, is how can we do this, structure this so it's not considered a gift of public funds? So thank you, Noah, for bringing that up. Because that is a concern of mine as well. As also, how would we track them? But since we're only talking about one or two actual replies to the survey so far, I think that's a pretty easy method.
yeah,
To track
Charlie
them.
has a list. She has a list of cities throughout the state that do have this program in place.
Mhm.
So she'll have some good answers for us. So thank you.
Good.
And the one project that we are aware of that is interested in it is to remove the marquee and
Yeah.
and reface their building. So it's right. It checks the boxes. It's just how firm do we need to be in the rules?
Yeah.
I have some concerns with the marquee or removing that in its entirety. Is it holding up our buildings or are the buildings holding it up? And
Yeah.
that could open up a huge can of worms. Um, if we get deep down that pathway.
I'm more comfortable saying that it's not holding up the buildings on the south side. On the north side, that's why that was a code enforcement action years ago, and it was pulling the marquee because the building was sinking. But it was pretty evident that that's what was going on. But yeah, that is a valid concern, Mark. That's why we want it to be their project and not our project.
Correct. So one of the things I think we all agree on is we've got to figure out what type of a match amount.
Mhm.
Um, you know, whether I think 50% is a little bit steep myself, but I think the building owner, property owner, or business owner needs to have some sort of skin in the game.
But 50% of 400 grand is a big difference of 50% of 150 grand, right? We don't know
Yeah.
what it's going to cost. Each building's a different size for sure. We don't know, as an example, like most of them have stonework already on the bottom, but like hardy plank the top. It'd be interesting to see what that would run,
Mhm.
but I hear you, Mark.
We only got 100 grand to work with though, Eric.
Starting point.
Yeah.
I think another question too about match would be, can they use other funding sources? Like if they got another grant from another entity, is that their match, or do they have to actually put their own cash in? I mean, would we let them leverage other funding sources? So
I
that
would
would
encourage them.
Why not?
I'd encourage them to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Nick, to that question, a lot of the revitalization grant programs that Charlie highlighted, the funds actually came from a different source. They came from the CDBG of the state and federal government and not local funds. So that's where again I'd say we want to be careful about our own general fund dollars when it's a CDBG community development block grant program that we're administering and filtering the grant through. I think there's a lot clearer direction there. And again, if you look at Charlie's memo, that's what she referenced a lot. And most of the entities she referenced in her memo had a minimum of 50% match. So yeah, I think pulling her into the conversation is going to be important.
Good conversation to have.
All right. Any more comment in regards to the downtown revitalization project? We've got a lot of questions to answer at this point, I think, but we are making some progress.
Mhm.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the next topic, and that is hopefully Sean's here.
I'm here.
That's the cybersecurity grants.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry about the snafu at the beginning there with the link and so on. I'm here, so I'll try to make this fairly brief, this section, but feel free to stop me and ask any questions.
Sean, can you
Um,
turn your camera on?
I cannot access my camera from my desk currently. You would
Okay.
see
All
like
right.
the
No worries.
backside of my head, sorry. Um, basically every year I've been here, I've applied to the Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency grant program, and we've been awarded every year. Last year, the grant awards were a little delayed because of the federal government shutdown and so on. So we were awarded at the very end of December 2 grants that I applied for the city. The first grant was in the amount of $16,000. It is for a secure enterprise password management system for employees here at the city. If anyone's familiar with password management programs like LastPass, Keeper, Bitwarden, so on, it's an encrypted vault for that individual's passwords to websites, logins, and so on. Only they have access to it. The entity themselves do not have access to it. Not even the support team have access to it. And it will make it more secure and easier for all of the employees. The one that we're looking at, the product we're looking at, is part of the government FedRAMP and government cloud rated, which is a sort of a higher level of security than a consumer product would be, recommended by many other municipalities in the state. And it is Keeper is the product we're looking at. We'll probably try rolling that out one department at a time, make sure everyone is trained in its use and so on. So that was the first grant for $16,000. Any questions on that one?
Well, so Sean, you've chosen one, or you're looking at one specifically?
We've done demos and some research on several of them already, and the one I'm leaning towards so far is Keeper. They're the only one that is government FedRAMP rated as far as their security is. Like I said, several other municipalities use it. City of Monroe, Blaine, I think Kennewick, a few others have all recommended it pretty highly. So that's
Yeah,
what
we're
we're sort of looking at.
as a much smaller business than the city.
Yep.
I've used Keeper now for a couple of
Mhm.
years,
Yep.
and great program,
Mhm.
very easy to use. It's got a mobile application. Would that be something
Correct.
you'd be looking at as well here?
Yes, for sure. That and part of that funding would be for training for employees as well. But yeah, it would be for anyone with the city phone, supplied phone, which is probably close to 95% of our current
Right,
employees. So
right.
yeah, and it sort of has a multi-factor security system baked into the app itself too. So
Hmm.
yep.
How are you looking at analyzing the yearly license fees on that too?
Yeah, that we are. So luckily these grant awards, once they're awarded through them, they typically re-award them every other year afterwards as you apply. So we've had a few that we've done in the past that were re-awarded for the same product later on. So hoping to use some of that grant money going forward. Also, the amount of money would allow us to get, I believe, a 3-year contract anyway. So it would pay for it for the
Oh,
following 3 years. So
that's good.
yep,
That's good. Eric,
yep,
you had questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a tech person by any stretch of the
sure.
imagination. Is this a third party that monitors and cleans up our system, or is this something that we implement into our system?
We implement it into our system. It's a third-party software product.
Sure.
But yeah, we would implement it into our system, myself and Jake, the other IT department.
And it's 16 grand annually. That's why you apply every year, because we there's no like, I don't know, 3-year contracts.
Yeah, so that's what this will pay for, about a 3-year contract based on the quotes that
Oh,
I've received, plus a few $1,000s in training and other materials. So
oh, nice,
a little
nice.
bit of the overhead cost. Yep.
Oh, cool. All right.
The training can't be that tough because a nuthead like
Yeah,
myself can use it pretty easily. So it's pretty easy.
it
Yeah.
is really easy to pick up for sure, for sure. And I think we have a few users in the city that already use it as well. I've used other products, but I really like this one. So, um, okay. Uh, any other questions on that one? Nope. Okay. I'll go ahead and Okay. And so the next proposal was in the amount of $48,500, which we were awarded. This would be a new product. If anyone's familiar with immutable backups, that's what this would be. It is an appliance that is on premises, would live in our secure server room. It's sort of a bunch of disks in a box that lives on our network that our backups would feed real time. So not like hourly, not daily, not weekly. It's real time. Immutable backup means it is written to the box once, it is encrypted, and cannot be changed later. It's basically immune to hackers at that point. We could do a full restore of our entire systems, any of our shared drives, any of our data with this system in place in less than an hour. So it's a great product. We do backups now, so it would enhance what we're currently doing. It is immutable is a term that not a lot of people really understand. So it's more like writing with, say, permanent ink than with a pencil. Once it's down, you can't really erase it. So hackers could get into the system and they would never have access to any of our data. And this amount is for the hardware and the software licensing for 3 years, and implementation and support for the 3 years as well, and training for us.
Rob, you got your hand up?
Yeah, Sean, just help me understand this better. So
Sure.
this is going to permanently write it onto a disk,
Mhm.
and then we become hacked. And so you can go back 10 minutes from when we
Yep.
got hacked and restore from these hard drives. Is that what you're?
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's correct. Yeah, they call it bare metal restore. So even if the hackers got into our system and wiped everything out, what they like to do is wipe out your backups first, and then go after your data and hold that hostage for ransom. That way you don't have anything to restore since they've wiped out your backups. This would disallow them from wiping out our backups. They could completely destroy all the data we have, and we could restore it within about an hour with this device.
Okay. Awesome. I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, does this completely eliminate then cloud backups?
No, we still do that. We also have immutable cloud backups that this would feed. That would be less frequent, but we're currently doing it daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And we have like a retention of 4 months of data, 4 weeks of data daily, and then yearly backups that feed the cloud. It's a cloud-based immutable system that we're using already, but this was, if we did it from the cloud, the restore would probably take days.
Right.
So we have it, we're safe, but we couldn't be down for days. We're a city. We need to help our residents and get our business done. So this would allow, I mean, heaven forbid that something bad would happen. Things do happen. I know King County Library System had got ransomware, I believe about a year and a half ago, and they were down for, I think it was 1.5 to 2 weeks because of that. So this would stop that.
What about fire or flood protection on this?
I mean, at that point, so the server room in the city hall is on the second floor. It's after the renovation, it's pretty well served with the new generator. It would have to be a pretty bad flood, I think, to get up there to the second floor. Kind of sits right above the Chief Brown's office, if you know where that is in City Hall. So it's pretty safe.
2 stories up. It'd have to be pretty deep water.
Yeah, we have other problems if that's the case, I think, but it is something that could be removed from on site. If we knew something really bad was coming, we could always pull it directly out of the rack and take it elsewhere, and then bring it back and restore things later.
I was thinking more along the lines of fire and sprinkler damage from the water out of
Gotcha.
the sprinklers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only thing to help with that would be to change it to like a halon extinguishing system, and that's not particularly cheap to add to the
Yeah.
server room, but yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any questions on this
So,
one?
so expect these grants, since we got awarded, to come before the council next week. That was our intent. That's why I wanted to bring these to the finance committee for review and make sure that you guys didn't have any questions. So I look forward to that in the future.
Yeah, we've received agreement letters that'll need to be signed by the mayor, assuming that you all approve it during the council meeting.
All right. Sean, great job in getting those grants for us. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You know, if I may, something relevant on this front. Right after we had that land use action on the for the reuse zone, somebody sent that applicant a wire request from the city that wasn't from the city for his fees. Unfortunately, he was smart enough to come to City Hall and question it. So how much were they asking for, Nick?
Sorry, looking for my unmute button. I don't have the amount in front of me, but I think it was a few $1,000s.
So it was
Wow.
I assume that we're going to put that on consent agenda for the security grants.
what's that?
You said you wanted to bring those forward, Director Crocker, in a future meeting. We're going to put that on
Yeah,
consent.
they'll be on a council
That-
meeting agenda.
Yeah, it seems like that should be a consent agenda item for me.
Okay.
Then we'll move it to consent.
That makes sense. Thanks, John. Okay. No further discussion on that cybersecurity grants. Let's move forward to AI policy. And Director, where is she? Lund, Debbie, she in here somewhere? I don't
No,
see
this
you.
is still Sean.
Oh,
For the AI discussion.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm a step ahead. Apologize.
Nope, it's fine. Go ahead, Sean. Take it away.
Yep, you're good. Okay, so I'll try to do it fairly quick. I have a PowerPoint, but I'll just breeze through it real quick.
Do you want
If
to share your
do you
screen,
want me to
Sean?
show it? That's fine.
Yeah. Walk it through them. I think AI is an important topic, and they've heard a lot about it. So I think this is a good moment to kind of walk through all the work that we've done for the last year.
Okay. Can you all see the slide presentation okay?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So Noah came up with the idea, along with the IT department, to form an AI committee and a policy for the city. So we first invitations went out January 17th last year. We first met in April 2025. Decided on the initial focus during that meeting. We introduced staff members that were invited. There were a few members from pretty much every department, I believe, in the city. Introducing the basic AI concepts and terminology. We watched a few educational videos for the people that were less familiar with AI and discussed some potential use cases and immediate needs. As you can see, we had cross-departmental collaboration. We wanted some subject matter experts from each of the departments. I may be an IT person, but I know not that much about, say, public safety or HR and so on. So we tried to have everyone represented, have their voice in the committee formation. We formed a policy subcommittee in July and met in August. We felt that the urgency was to create a policy as soon as possible. We started working on drafts for the next several months and had a final draft December of last year. Provided that to Debbie in HR, who then distributed it to employees and union reps throughout the city for comments. Our policy objectives were these: so establish a clear AI framework, transparency and accountability, responsible innovation, protect privacy and security. Some of our guiding values: eliminate bias, transparency. The guidance from Washington Department of Technology so far is public records is going to be somewhat of a nightmare, possibly. We're trying to curtail that by coming up with some guidelines for use within the city. We created in the draft some of the guidelines, human in the loop. So anytime AI is used in creating a product, we'd like to have the person that created that product sort of QC it for correctness. AI likes to sort of come up with incorrect answers a lot, depending on what it was fed. Different products come up with different answers and so on. We're worried about data security and privacy for the city and its files. So we would have data labeling guidelines in the policy as well. So confidential, highly confidential, non-public record related items we would never want to feed into AI. We created a formal approval process for acquisition and compliance of any new AI products. Currently, we have only Microsoft Copilot enabled because we have that license as part of our Microsoft licensing. Also, we're in the government cloud, so our data will not be shared with any other AI companies or entities. And we have full visibility as to what staff uses for Copilot, any of their prompts and any of their outputs and so on, in case we do get a public records request that requests some of that data. We're currently already logging that. So the current status is now the policy draft, we believe is ready for implementation. We had legal review it, give us a few comments, mostly grammatical issues, but some others that have been addressed in the new draft policy. We had a few questions from some staff. One of them was, what if a vendor implements AI into software that we're currently using? We don't want to stop using it. There's sort of a vetting that IT would do initially if they felt that it should be elevated to the AI committee to discuss as sort of a higher risk, potential other misuse and so on. The AI committee would then form and discuss the use of that product. HR was a little worried about humans in general are biased and adding some sort of anti-bias training and so on in the use of AI. We have a vendor currently. I'm sure that everyone enjoys their phishing training with KnowBe4. They also offer some AI training, including anti-bias training in the use of AI. So we're going to add that to our repertoire for city staff to go through. We had some concerns that we should treat AI just like any other technology resource, and requesters should work with IT and legal to ensure that it's suitable for the needs and use by the city. The concern was mainly that if someone wanted to use AI for something, that we would have to fire up the AI committee for every time, and that may become cumbersome, which is why we created the guidelines for the IT department to sort of vet products and requests ahead of time. If it's no risk or low risk, we would probably just say, sure, we can use it. If it's a higher risk, we may need to form the AI committee and have a discussion about it. There was also some concern as to why we needed representatives from every department instead of just IT. Why doesn't just IT just do this? There's a lot of red tape involved with forming a committee and so on and discussing, et cetera, et cetera. What if we need this product right away? Again, like I said earlier, I'm not a subject matter expert in planning and permitting. I would go to Nick. You know, Nick goes to conferences and sees these great new products and things that would be great use for his department. he's going to know about it. I'm not going to know about it, which is why we like to sort of collaborate together with this AI committee and discuss case uses, which is after this policy is formed and approved and added, we would like to meet going ahead to discussing case uses for helping out citizens, helping out staff, and so on. Developing training and use cases for city staff. I kind of hit that already. So right now, our next steps are just final policy adoption, and distributing all the materials to staff, discussing case use, establishing standards for human in the loop reviewers for AI output.
So, any questions from the finance committee?
I've got a couple.
Sure.
We heard quite a bit about this at the last AWC conference, in some of the breakouts. Have we consulted with or talked with other cities that have been through this process prior to us getting into it and learned from their mistakes, or any knowledge that they've had that they've learned since they implemented their programs?
Yeah, we have certainly. So IT staff and NOAA, I believe, belong to ACES. It's the state of Washington IT group of municipalities. We've reached out to them extensively. We're actually pretty far at the forefront of this sort of discussion and policy. There's not that many that have them in place currently. Everyone seems to be using King counties currently as a sort of a guideline for creating their own policies. They were one of the first ones to create their own. There's also San Jose, California has a AI coalition that has templates that are freely available for municipalities to use. We use some of those as our resources going ahead. Noah, Jake, and I all attended a seminar in Tacoma not that long ago for government municipalities and vendors and so on. And that was the biggest subject, I believe, in discussion. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone's learning from their mistakes and so on. So policy and baby steps, the two biggest things that we heard, I think. Get your policy in place. It can always change as you go, as needed, and baby steps. Don't just jump in and start using AI products left and right. That seems to be the leading factor. So yeah, we're still in discussion. It's the last several conferences I've been to, that AI has been the major topic of discussion. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark, the that presentation we got was from Brent Gailey, the the mayor of Lake Stevens. And when I got back from the conference, of course, just like you, oh my gosh, they're doing these great things at Lake Stevens. And I came back and shared that information with Sean. And I know Sean's been in contact with them in their IT department.
Yep.
They were the tip of the spear, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to offer up. Yeah, so we participated in WATEC, which is led by the state and state agency for the technology agency for the state, and they're trying to address AI, and we're learning from them. And when we went to these different trainings, we probably take 2 or 3 trainings a month on AI.
Oh, yeah.
That's how frequent that this user ACES group gets back together to report on kind of what other entities are doing, not just in our state, but across the nation, and kind of where they're finding success and where they're finding challenges. And I think, as Sean alluded to, what we've took away, and this really came up the converse, especially with Snohomish County, is not to take on a lot of AI products. Let the bigger entities do that. Get your policy in place. What they found is that when you have a lot of AI vendors come in and promise you good things, they can't deliver. And you're putting a lot of time and money and energy into these AI products and developing it for you. And with our city, we only have an IT department of 2. So we don't have the extra human resources to throw at new AI products. So that was a big message that we heard from at least some Snohomish County is don't go gangbusters. Kind of dip your toe in, kind of work with your partner cities, find out what everybody's doing. So we've been very cautious about adopting anything new, and really trying to understand what it is it's doing, particularly as it comes to public records requests, because we've already been hit up on public records requests for AI. And I suspect after this meeting, we'll be hit up officially because now we've officially released a policy to this finance committee.
So
Yeah, we're also part of a special interest group, AI special interest group formed by the IT director of Tacoma, Enzo Wang. That's a smaller group than the statewide agencies, but it's a great group discussing, I believe it's monthly meetings that we've been part of. So, yep.
So this sounds and looks like a great start of a employee policy there. Was there a direct charter for this group when we set up this committee? Were we looking for an employee policy, part of our handbook, to cover AI?
Can you try your question again? I'm not sure I understood it.
I'm just making sure that was the goal of this policy, was to create an addition to our employee handbook for AI use.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I didn't hear any talk about shadow use of AI, and maybe that was part of the education piece that I just missed. And then when was this, or will it be rolled out?
Sean, do you want to talk about the shadow AI and kind of
Sure.
the steps we've taken to prevent that?
Yeah, so that was discussed during the committee a few times here and there. It is a thing. Currently, we are blocking AI use with the exception of Copilot within the city, just as a precaution. There are still maybe a few ways around it because everything seems to use AI these days. The service that we use to block the AI use is only as good as people feed it. Like, hey, there's a new product, it gets updated. I believe it's once a week as far as the blocking goes. So there is that. And yeah, the purpose of this and shadow use of AI will be addressed in the educational part of it.
Yeah, and so ideally we can we've developed a policy. We think it's ready to go. Bring it to the finance committee. Get your feedback. We would bring this to the full council. Get their feedback and/or adoption. And once adoption, then we would go into training employees on proper use of AI, what they can use and what they can't do. So I think that's where the education part would come in.
Okay. And to understand Mr. Dunham's answer,
Mhm.
so does that mean like you're blocking it at the source, right? So like at
Correct.
my dealership, none of my employees can access from both their personal or work device YouTube. I can block YouTube. Are we
Yep.
blocking all AI uses then? Like, so even on their personal device, they couldn't use a chat GPT?
I mean, if it's their personal device, we can't block it. We can block it if they're using their personal device on the city public
On the city's
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's blocked at the firewall on the network end of it. Yes, and we block
Okay.
it as many as we know of, and as the service knows of. So
Okay. And then I think our other job as a council is to mitigate risk. And so I would probably, before adoption, like to just know more information around what the process is to adding AI
Mhm.
tools to the toolbox for staff to make sure that we have adequate risk assessment.
certainly, yeah, we have that the acquisition guidelines that we've created alongside the policy. It's pretty long document, 20 something pages, but I think we addressed pretty much all the things we needed to on that.
And so to follow up on that, John, would you again, I'm looking for direction here. How would you like us to bring this forward? Would you like us to come back with the guidelines that we've already developed for the assessing of products with the finance committee, or should we bring this to a work study session, full council? What's your thoughts on where does this go from here, and then what additional information should we bring to share with the others?
I might just guide you in a way that says there's going to be a lot of chatter about this. So I definitely think this would be a great work study topic before you bring it to a vote, so that people can get their questions answered. And I think if you just bring that type of information, again, if it's 20 some page, I just want to make sure that there's adequate risk assessment being done. At one, and then two, that it's not so restrictive that we're not ability to utilize any AI tools either.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious on what those are to make
Okay.
sure that we all feel comfortable with that, what that is. I'm one opinion on that, but I think that would be the best way to go.
I think beyond Sean's presentation, it's really releasing the guideline and the policy to you and putting it in your packet and you guys reading it and having questions at the work study, because I don't think it'd be a good work use of anybody's time for you guys to go through a very large policy page by page. So I think it's a matter of us releasing these documents to you, putting on the agenda. Sean's probably going to give the exact same presentation you guys already got. How did we get here? Here's where we started. Here's where we're at. And this is our draft policy we'd like you guys to consider.
Yeah, and I think a work study is the right platform to bring that forward. I'd hate to be asked all the questions we would be asked as individual council members from our peers, questions that we don't have answers to. So I'd rather have it come to a work study myself and plan plenty of time for Q&A on it as well. It's such a new technology.
Yeah, I agree. Because like what I'm picking up is we're not against AI. It's coming, but it's how to use it responsibly.
Absolutely.
That's basically it, right? Like,
Yep.
and kind of put some good limitations on it to start with. Like you kind of mentioned other software programs having it. And we need to make sure that it's not just a fire hose at us. We kind of gradually start using it. Is that kind of accurate by the policy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Just want to see if
Okay.
I was kind of picking it up right.
Okay. Well, I think that's good direction in the interest of time. It's 5:30. I want to keep moving, so I want to get to Debbie. So I think we'll plan for a work study session and bring back some material and a little presentation on what you asked on the guidelines of how does this filter up. And we already have that prepared. So I think that's
Perfect.
good for AI.
And I got a
Perfect.
quick side note, or Nick does. I think it's next week's council meeting. The permittable side, I AI software. Is it next week? No, Nick, that's on the agenda.
Yeah, we've got it planned for next week, and I just wanted to point out that um, we have an opportunity to partner with a company in Kirkland on AI plan review software, but the city wouldn't actually be using this software. We are going to make it available to the public as an optional tool that they can use before they ever apply for a permit. And so it sort of would exist outside of our technology ecosystem at the city. We are simply proposing that we put a link on our website, and there's going to be a code that people can use for projects in the city to run their plans through this AI tool and not get charged for it. And this is a 1-year pilot program that we are proposing. So I was going to present that to the Land Use Committee on Wednesday, but since we're talking about AI at Finance tonight, I figured I should mention it to this committee as well as we're talking about AI.
So
Who would be
Wednesday,
the
Wednesday at the land use. Oh, it's this Wednesday. Okay, it will be in time. Never mind.
Nick, who would be our resident in-house expert on this software in case customer citizens had questions that were trying to use it?
Well, the proposal is that we're going to put information on our website about the tool being available, and we're saying that you're using this at your own risk, and the resolution that we're asking the council to approve is going to direct the attorney to put disclaimer language on our website, basically saying this is a private third-party company. You use it at your own risk. The city makes no representations, that sort of thing. And what we're really interested to do is see if we can eliminate the first round of review comments through AI so that people are closer to getting the permit by the time they actually apply. The hope is that it would make us more efficient in our department and just make our resources that we have go further. But again, it's a 1 year pilot program, and at the end of that year, people could continue to use the software if they want, but they're going to pay per use rather than it being free of charge for projects in the city of Port Orchard.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Let's move on so we can, in the interest of time, so we can give Debbie plenty of time here. It's your turn now, Deb.
It's my turn. Rob, do you want to cue this up or do you want me to start?
I can. And so, every few years, we typically do a salary survey for our non-represented employees. And we're coming up on the time to do that again. And we just want to check in with the Finance Committee first before we start that process. There's many different ways to do this. In years past, we've paid a consultant, fair amount of money to do that body of work for us. We're not always satisfied with the body of work that they provide us. And the last time we did this exercise, we did it in-house. And so that's what we're proposing. We didn't budget any money, but it's going to be a heavy lift. And I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the process before we do the body of work, because there's different methodologies we could use to do this. And Debbie's going to talk to you a little bit about that. So we're just looking for some direction before Debbie and the finance department go to work. First step in these things is always making sure we got accurate job descriptions so that when we go out and compare people to our peer cities, that we're compare apples to apples. But beyond that, I'm going to let Debbie take this presentation over.
Okay. And there is a memo in your packet. I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights of that, assuming that you had a chance to look at it. The first and foremost thing, I'm going to probably say it a dozen times in 5 minutes, that this is an art form, not a science. There is no black and white way to do this. There's no right or wrong way. There's more philosophical approaches to this than anything else. So as I learned about 7 years ago when I joined the city, at least the version that was told to me, is historically we've used our geographical neighbors as our comp agencies, including Bremerton, which is significantly larger than us, and then Kitsap County, which is entirely different from us in terms of size and structure as well. And then we use Bainbridge, Gig Harbor, and Poulsbo. That's a relatively small sample size when you're doing any kind of a study, but it was the way that things had been done here in the past as it was explained to me. When we're negotiating with the police guild, in our case, they have what's called binding arbitration, meaning a independent third party acts as a judge and tells you what your contract says if the two sides can't agree. In that world, there's a whole different way to determine what entities to look at as comps. And they use 3 factors: population, assessed value, and sales tax revenue, and a 50% up, 50% down model. And so that's another option. We don't have to do that for non-union employees, but it is an option. It is what we do on the police guild side, but that is the only union that we're required to use that methodology for. And even then, you can have some variances. You can agree, in the case in 2024, we agreed to use Poulsbo, even though they technically didn't meet the 50% up, 50% down at that time, but they had been a historical comp for our police group.
And Debbie, if I may, backing up to why well, our labor pool is Kitsap County and probably to the Narrows Bridge. When we start grabbing Bremerton and Kitsap County, they're larger organizations, and your employees, in particular in this workforce that we're looking at, are more specialized. When you're a smaller entity, your employee wears more hats because we don't have as many people to be as specialized. So then when we go to compare our positions to these larger entities, they don't fit right. And so I just wanted to give a little more background on what, Kitsap County is where our workforce is probably coming from, but some of the people we're comparing ourselves don't quite fit, and that's why.
Excellent point, Rob. Thank you. Um, so that really becomes the first question after, do we want to do this? Do we want to do it in-house? And who do we want to use? What methodology do we want to use to determine who we're going to compare to? I put in your packet a list of 50% up, 50% down, assessed valuation, sales tax, and population cities. Came out to be 13, only in Western Washington for reasons explained in the memo. That's a really large group from a really small sample size to what really would be a huge body of work. All kinds of different ways, member art form, all kinds of different ways to whittle that down, and happy to have that conversation. Just not sure, Councilman Trineri, where we want to go with this conversation at this point.
Can I ask a question, Ms. Lund? You said I don't remember the exact date. When was the last time we did a salary survey?
Done in 2022, implemented in the 2023 budget. I believe I
Okay.
have those years correct. If not, it was done in 23 and implemented in 24. It's been a pattern every third year,
And is that a policy or that's just a pattern?
just pattern.
Okay. The next question I have is I'm happy to see in some of the lists, especially I think in the 50 up, 50 down isn't a bad one. I think it's close. I like to see communities like Monroe. I regularly look at Monroe as a comp for Port Orchard. It's experiencing similar level of growth as we are, as well as it's pretty close to our population. I don't see Port Angeles on here. I know that it's maybe a little further outlier, but it also has a similar sized um, composition.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Morrissey, which city?
Port Angeles.
Port Angeles? Yeah. I think
Is-
it's probably assessed valuation that kicks them out.
I was going to say that probably does kick them a little higher because of that, but their population is also a little bit. And then also, ironically, Anacortes kind of falls in that as well. That also has a little higher value, maybe a little slower growth. And then I also look at Centralia a lot for us. While it doesn't have the waterfront community that we do, those are some of the ones I look at.
Yeah.
I
Centralia
would-
is on that list. It's just not located next to a metropolitan area. So again,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
how you want to slice the pie.
And
Yeah.
what's the property values of Centralia? You
Uh,
know, I mean,
Centralia property value. Try to read my
because
chart.
people aren't driving over the bridge to come this far. You know, it's hard to get talent that way.
Right.
I really like using our neighbors because our draw is our community that we live in on the peninsula. But I mean,
Yeah, I'm assuming all those are already in there, right? If I'm looking to get a broader scale, not just what's going on in Kitsap,
you're
because
saying population wise,
I'm looking population, I'm looking for growth, the
Yeah.
trajectory of growth.
I think the proposal that Debbie was because Kitsap County and Bremerton and actually Bainbridge, because Bainbridge Island's assessed valuation, they're very different than us. And we might very well hire somebody in the finance department or in administrative aspect of public works, but the job, what they're doing is probably quite a bit different than what they could be doing. They have one aspect of it where our employees probably doing three or four things so that are siloed in differently in the county. So to compare ourselves to a job at the county, it's apples and oranges is the problem, even though that's probably where we're going to get that labor pool. We're trying to find like jobs in similar sized cities and, in similar structures. And Centralia is probably a good catch, but then we also try to be in around a metropolitan area too. And so, like Debbie's saying, it's an art. It's not an exact science. And
Yeah, I can tell you that Bainbridge does use us for a comp. They have their non-union group up there. Our non-union group is a union group for them. They're part of the IAM, the Machinist Union out of Seattle. But they do use us as a comp when they are setting salaries for that group, their engineers, their office staff, et cetera, et cetera. So Bainbridge does use us, but they also use some Seattle side because they're just 30 minutes away via ferry, right? And we, interestingly enough, we have employees here in all of our surrounding counties as well, that are commuting into us for a whole variety of reasons.
Isn't it pretty expensive to do a wage survey every 2 to 3 years? That's pretty frequent. 2 to 3 years. That's a lot. I mean, our neighbors, in my experience, it's 4 to 5 years that they're doing a wage survey.
so what we run into is if we don't, people fall behind market, if we don't keep track of the market, and if we were paying, it is expensive. We pay a consultant. We're planning on doing this body of work, unless you tell us differently that you don't want to.
No, I'd rather do it in-house.
We're going to do this in-house, body of work in-house. And if
Sure.
I'm not opposed to labor unions, don't get me wrong here, but if we don't, our labor unions are getting a salary survey done every 3 years, 2 years. What are our union contracts, Debbie? They're 3 years, correct?
Right now, we're all threes. Yeah.
They're all 3-year contracts, and they're getting this body of work done through their union negotiations every 3 years. So we're trying to be, and offer the same,
Yeah.
compensation to our non-union folks so that we don't have more unions formed.
Well, that and we don't want to lose our good non-union employees either. So I'm in support of doing this salaries study, and I'm also in support of doing it in-house. I think that's the best way to go. And I tend to agree. I think we should try to keep our comps within the greater Puget Sound area as best we can.
So are you comfortable then? Because we've done just Kitsap County and Gig Harbor before, but the sample size is small, and Kitsap County and Bremerton in particular aren't a good fit because they're
Yeah.
just different size government than we are. So
Right.
are you guys comfortable with us and of going with the other? She gave you some examples of a size. I think you'd like about eight or nine, wouldn't you, Debbie?
Correct. Eight's about ideal. Yeah.
What are the normal swings when you do the wage survey? Isn't it like 7%, 7 to 10%?
It's going to vary from every position. Some folks we might find are slightly overcompensated and we'll freeze them for a year,
Right.
because their range is going to, and by and large, if we do this frequently enough, there shouldn't be huge swings unless where we really see, because we're growing so much, I know a couple of people over on the Public Works administrative side over there that are really bright. Okay. And Dennis keeps giving them more things to do. Well, guess what? Those more things to do are new duties. And so when when we got to reanalyze them 3 years later, their job is different than it was 3 years ago. And some of those new duties that they have pay more, in our peer organizations. So that's probably, I can think of a couple people in particular that are probably going to see a spike up because we're asking them to do more than they did 3 years ago.
Right, and I'm in the small conference room right now, and it's dark in here. I don't know where the lights are. But when we do the wage surveys, it goes off of what you do for a percentage of time throughout your workday, right? You could do something of a high skill, but you're only doing it twice a week, right? But then you could run a Vector or something, different skill set, that you're doing 80% of your workday. Is that how you guys do that though? Is you
It's hard to get to that level of detail without making this a year-long project.
Oh, we do that level of detail. That's probably why. So okay.
So,
All right.
okay,
Just
yeah.
curious.
So it's more about that level of responsibility. So
Okay.
if you have the ultimate signature authority on XYZ and you're the last where the buck stops,
Mhm.
we're paying you for being the where the buck stops, right? You have responsibility, you have liability to the city. That's what you get paid for, not necessarily how many times you put your signature on that line.
Oh, yeah.
If you're an engineer, you got a stamp. We're going to have to pay you for that.
Absolutely correct.
And same way with our planners have degrees and certifications, it's just we paying for that expertise. So
I think I'm hearing that all three of us are in support of an internal
Mhm.
study here.
For sure.
Ms. Lund, if I could give you my feedback, I really like your top 13 comp cities. I know 13 seems like a lot, and so if I'm giving you some things, maybe I'm going to pull out. Oak Harbor is an island county. I think that's going to be kind of outlandish in several aspects. Just that it's not going to be able to keep up with our growth. It's probably more expensive, things like that. I do see you have two Clark County, which are
Nice.
further away. I would be okay with one. I think Lewis is also a little bit out there, but I really do look at Centralia a lot for things to compare our city about. So if you're going to go that far out, I would pick maybe one of those three, and the rest are within what I would call the Puget Sound area: Snohomish, King, Pierce. I do see Skagit and a Burlington. I do think if I'm already including a Monroe, which is in Snohomish, which is way closer to us than Burlington is, I would do that. And then I might add another. Oh, you already do have Enum Claw. I was
we,
gonna
we
say
haven't gotten down to 8 yet. I think you've got us down to 9, so don't add yet.
No, I just wanted to make sure. I also look at Enumclaw a lot. While I don't think their population is near ours yet, they are experiencing our level of growth. And
They're on the list.
yeah, and I see that. So those are my
Okay.
inputs. If anybody else has anybody to add.
Well, because they're not in the greater Puget Sound area, I would pull both the Clark counties off myself. That would be, my position. I agree with John. Oak Harbor. They're far enough up there. Burlington as well could be pulled, just to weed down to give you a more manageable number of cities.
Yeah, my opinion is when you work for a local government, you're gonna try to stay on that same retirement system. So you're just gonna go shop at your neighbors. You're gonna go next door. That's what you're gonna do. You don't make enough money. You don't make enough money working for a local government to pay toll bridges and go commute. You and pay the gas. You're gonna literally go to Bainbridge Island. That's what people are doing. They offer a good package. But you're gonna go to Paulsville. You're gonna go to a city versus a county. Trust me, there's a huge issue up there with staff leaving. But that's what you're gonna go to, and you're gonna go to your neighbor because you work for local governments out of convenience.
Mhm.
You like to be home. You like to not commute a lot. You like to see your family. You don't make enough money doing it, so you pick and choose what's important to you. So I would like to use our neighbors so we can try and stay on par as much as possible and not lose them. They're probably driving here from Bremerton already, right? Or I doubt Gig Harbor. I mean, people that work in Bellevue don't usually live in Bellevue. People that work for City Gig Harbor probably don't live in Gig Harbor. So I'd like to use our neighbors. That's just my input. So
Right, Debbie.
We actually have a lot of employees commuting in. We have actually employees because of the fast ferry living in Seattle.
but you have directors.
No,
You
these
have
are
a lot of
frontline employees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
out of the interest of time here, because we're
Yes.
getting onto it here, Debbie, what else do you need from us?
Well, here's my thought, Mr. Chairman, that the conversations about where we want to land within our comps, maybe we bring that back to the next meeting. I can get to work on the body of work. I will not release any data prior to you making those decisions because I don't want decisions made based on the data. But if that would work for the committee, that I don't need to know that tonight.
That sounds great. I think that'll work fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussions before we adjourn?
I think Nick's got a quick question for you that we've come across it. Last year we had, is Nick still around or did he take off? Looks like he took off.
No,
this-
I see him.
I'm
He's
still
there.
here. I've
Okay.
got my camera
If
turned
you
off
can-
because I'm grabbing my dinner before the council meeting.
Okay, if you want to just talk about this issue real quick and get some direction.
Yeah, so the issue that we have a special event that puts up a couple of membrane structures that require building permits. And if you'll recall, in 2025, we adjusted the fee resolution, and the fee for membrane structures went up to reflect the actual amount of time it takes to do plan review and inspection of those structures. And so I believe it's $225 per tent. And so we have one event that has 2 tents, and they are asking for a fee waiver because the 2 tents now with the technology fee is $460. We don't have the authority to waive fees, but we did want to make the committee and the council aware that we are getting that question asked for a special event, and our intent is to follow the adopted policy. And if council wishes to revisit that policy, they would have to direct staff to do so.
Can I ask a quick question? Is that got like a de minimis, like anything above a 10 by 10? I mean, or you got to inspect everything?
No, if it's under 120 square feet, it doesn't get inspected or require a permit. But we're talking about big tents where you're setting up tables for lots of people underneath the tent, and those do have plans and specifications associated with them, and they have to be inspected before they can be occupied.
Yep, I do know that. Okay. I don't know that that's something I want to tackle right here.
That's the same.
Okay, so-
They're the same tents. They're the same. I mean, you're making one site visit, right? You're not making 2 site visits. It's one site visit.
Well, it's one site visit if it passes the first time, and then it's potentially second inspections if you have to come back. And often this is on nights and weekends where we're doing overtime and coming out to inspect when they actually set them up, as opposed to during our normal work schedule.
And
But that's any inspection though, right? That's any inspection.
and the tent,
If it's 2 tents, one site, you're already there.
but the tents could be from a different manufacturer and require 2 different reviews.
Let them know in advance.
Yeah.
I-
So what, yeah, and if we want to change this at all, we've got to bring policy back to you guys because we can't waive this. That's why we're bringing elevating this to you guys to think about.
$500 for a permit's a lot, but
Yeah, for a nonprofit, I get it, and
a
it's
lot of money.
Yeah, I think I need more information to give you.
Yeah, I'd like to process this and gather a little bit more information myself.
okay. So how about we formally put this on the agenda for next month's finance committee, and that's what I'll tell the applicant.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's fine.
Works.
Okay,
Appreciate
anything
that.
else? Good of the order? Let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting then, and I believe our next finance committee would be the 17th of March. Is that what we're looking at there, Noah?
Yep.
All
We're
right.
gonna wear green and have beer.
So, hey, that sounds like a good deal there. So we will adjourn the meeting. See everybody here in a little bit. And thanks for
you.
coming, guys.
But